Okay, there we go.
Sorry.
Hey, Mini2's ready to learn more from yours truly
And
with
LuigiXRules
LuigiXRules.
this time.
I've already made this video on Kirby reviews.
We're doing a top 6 worst episodes of good cartoons.
These cartoons are great, and we love them. It's just they have very bad
We're
episodes.
gonna look at 3 of those cartoons and
Spoiler alert. There's SpongeBob.
two worst
Fairly Odd Parents,
episodes.
The Amazing World of Gumball.
And their 2 worst episodes.
Cool. What, I said spoiler alert before I said all that stuff. Anyway,
Okay, number 6.
6.
Playdate of Doom. Fairly
Da, 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 da. I forgot to do that in the thing. Anyway,
This episode isn't all that bad, to be honest, but there aren't very many bad episodes of the Fairly Odd Parents.
yeah, there really isn't.
But in the beginning of this episode, Fig does this funny thing to escape Abracadabra, where he builds he asks for a giant him-sized ice cube, leaves it there, escapes, and then Jorgen hits the release button on accident. Also, he draws his face on the ice cube.
That's funny. Anyway, does this episode get any good points? Yes, actually. Speaking of which, good points is a reference to the episode. Anyway, do I like this episode? No, but I do think that this apology in the end is sincere.
Yeah, so what happens is Poof gets good points for doing good deeds, and then like Poop does some bad stuff during the playdate,
And blames it on Poof.
and then he loses all of his good points.
That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound a lot like a SpongeBob episode?
That isn't on this list. Spoiler alert. So,
You probably should have said spoiler alert first. Oh well.
so
Anyway,
so I'd say this episode deserves the
silver medal of the worst episode of the Fairly Odd Parents. Because at least I can say something good about it. It's good.
number
Da, 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 da.
5.
The robot.
The Amazing World of Gumball.
Ha! Cartoon Network. You didn't have to release this episode. What was forcing you to?
In this episode, Bobbert sees how popular Gumball is and tries to take over his life with that disguise.
Also, this was a terrible image.
Which does not look like Gumball.
Anyway, they really are dumb. Bobber was the brainwashed dumb.
That's my opinion. Like, if we do that, and being like,
If we do a theory on this episode, then
I'd say that
yeah.
Bobbert brainwashed him. There's no way anybody's dumb enough to think that's actually Gumball.
There, I let them hear you better. Anyway,
Except
yeah.
for maybe Darwin.
I'm looking at you so that they can hear you better.
Okay.
Anyway,
So,
this episode just Bobbert is so unlikable, and since he doesn't even learn anything in the end, it just feels very mean.
yeah, in the end, it's one of those stupid loop endings where he starts copying Darwin, right?
Right, and it doesn't work here because what he did to Gumball is personally bad.
And there's a scene where Bobbert was listing off all the things he could do like Gumball, and he said, "I can look like you." You can't. And there's this one part where he literally just like took his voice and said, "I can talk like you." Yeah, it's a stupid disguise. And so in this backyard scene, Gumball says, "Hit the robot," and then Darwin hits Gumball.
Because that's exactly what a robot would say.
But does he look like a robot?
Of course he does. Doesn't. Now, time to continue.
I'd say it deserves
The silver medal. I keep on forgetting about that next thing. Do 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 do. Dumped. I have never felt this sad of this while watching a pre-movie SpongeBob episode.
Enough said. Let's talk about the episode. Starts when Patrick notices that SpongeBob and Gary really like each other and have fun. And then, for some reason, Gary starts being attached to Patrick.
Okay.
And that's it for my part of this.
This episode, it gets the silver medal. It also,
Hey, I wasn't done with the full script. I just said I was done with that part.
I hate this one.
Okay. I was going to. Okay, so yeah, so there's just a bunch of just different scenes where, Patrick rubs in the fact that that Gary likes SpongeBob, and then there's this one line where he.
Don't you mean Gary likes Patrick?
Oh, yeah. And then there's this one scene where SpongeBob is crying, and then Patrick says, "Here we go again."
Patrick, I used to like you,
Yeah.
and now I do not know even why.
Luckily, he does get his comeuppance at the end
I feel like he deserves more though.
when it turns out that Patrick had a cookie in his pocket, and that's why Gary was going for him. But so he starts crying.
I've never felt so sorry for SpongeBob ever. Number 3. The Amazing World of Gumball, The Triangle. Oh wait.
Gumball.
I forgot to do that.
This episode is just mean-spirited toward Gumball.
Like, I've made up a new word to describe one of the jokes in this episode. Namist.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but my script that you're supposed to describe most of the plot.
So, the plot. So basically, the plot is Gumball hates his triangle. Darwin is good at the slide whistle, which then Gumball, to me, it seems like he feels that his friendship with Darwin is gonna break. So he tries everything in his power for their friendship to stay.
AKA, he doesn't try to jeopardize it. I'm pretty sure he just tries to convince him to stop.
All he does is, the worst thing he does is holds on to Darwin's leg as he tries to walk over to band practice.
But that's just something that he does sometimes. Yeah, but then after that, they find out that Darwin has some gum in his slide whistle.
And they immediately blame Gumball, and this is the part that made me come up with the word namist.
Because your name is Gum. Your name is Gumball. It has gum in it.
Seriously, that is so namist. Anyway, continuing down the road, we find Gumball thinking that it's Banana Joe, and then it's marching time.
Yeah.
In this marching time, we see that it's not Banana Joe, but rather Leslie, the flower.
And there's this funny joke where it just keeps on zooming in.
And then Gumball's like,
and then Banana Joe, and then him, and then eventually it hits Gumball, and then she's like, alright, I get it, it's Banana Joe.
yeah, that was funny. Still, I really do not find anything funny about Gumball being accused for nothing. On top of all of that, it turns out
That it wasn't even Banana Joe.
Well, I already told them about that. But anyway, as it turns out, Gumball is happy that Darwin just so happens to fail in the end. The episode ends.
So
Finally!
People would say that, they would be mad at Gumball for liking that. But Darwin was wrongly accusing Gumball, so he kind of gets what he deserves.
To me, that ending feels satisfying. Still, does this episode get the gold medal? Well, of course it does if it's on this slot, idiots. I'm just kidding. You're not idiots. Unless you thought that. Number 2. Also, this slide is, as you can see, is messed up a little bit on the top.
Why?
I must have forgot to edit that. I noticed it while watching my Kirby Reviews review of this.
Stuck in the ringer. SpongeBob SquarePants. Oh boy. We're into the really bad episodes now.
I thought the triangle was mean toward one character for no reason.
But this, Patrick is a jerk. All of the citizens are jerks, and Mr. Krabs is, he's a bit more of a jerk than he usually is. But, he's sometimes a jerk, so.
I hate this episode. You want to know why? Patrick was my favorite character. I valued him and how he could be dumb but funny. Now, he is dumb and jerky. He's a smug idiot.
Smug idiot, that sounds funny. I like that one. So, what happens in the episode is SpongeBob is taking a bath and then drops the soap, and then you think that it's the soap that gets him stuck in the ringer, but it isn't. He accidentally he's about to step on the soap, but then he accidentally goes onto a rubber duck that is for some reason there, and then
startles him.
Startles him, so he slips on the soap, and he's stuck in the ringer.
Not only is this episode self-explanatory. Actually, I forgot what I was going to say after that. But great! This episode's also self-explanatory.
So, yeah, they have to... So now he has to live out a day while stuck in a ringer. But, of course, the ringer kind of limits his, wait.
It kind of limits...
Oh, yeah, we didn't say that, Patrick, found out that the rubber ducky was his, so basically it's his fault.
Basically, it's all Patrick's fault. And on top of that...
And he is the one who, he does free him, but he is the one who got him, SpongeBob, into this mess in the first place, so...
Also, I want to point out something that's not in this episode. In the card, Patrick says this line.
You can't expand my usual brand of stupidity. I like to mix it up a bit, just to keep you on your toes.
So basically, he did this intentionally.
Yep, he sure did. So first he goes to his job, but he can't. But SpongeBob can't do it because the ringer limits his hand options, so he can't really fry. I mean, he figured it out, but then he accidentally squirts some mustard into Squidward's eyes, and...
Which is not funny at all.
Is this the episode where the eyes fall onto the grill?
I think. Wait, what?
I swear there's a time where...
I think Squidward's eyes might have fell on the grill.
Yeah, so the mustard squirts his eyes, and then the eyes
And then
fall on the grill.
SpongeBob comes and says, "Oh, Squidward, are you okay?" But he jumps right on Squidward.
He's like,
Because
"You're not
SpongeBob's a jerk. Great, this also has Squidward torture.
Yeah.
We'll probably make a full
And
video
then
on
he
Squidward torture
accidentally,
episodes.
Like, made the cash register go crazy, and then, like...
The
everybody
money
was
spilled
getting
everywhere.
money.
And then his ringer got stuck on a pole.
And then Mr. Krabs says, "Help! I think you've helped quite enough today."
So remember that line.
Yeah.
Then next, Patrick tries to cheer Sandra up with ice cream, but he can't gulp it. Oh great, now they're implying that he's gonna starve to death.
And if
And
it's
then they
that
go-
tight that you can't gulp something, then I think you'd suffocate before you'd... Because I doubt if you could get anything in there, then actually maybe you could fit air in there, but ice cream is soft.
Ice
It's,
cream cannot fit in there,
gooey,
so
it can, go into stuff and it can melt into a liquid. So if ice cream can't fit down the ringer, how is he getting air or water down there?
Exactly. So now they're implying that SpongeBob's gonna die, all because of Patrick.
See his facial expressions. So yeah, then they go to the circus and SpongeBob gets a black eye, which they had a whole episode about, from throwing a ball and missing. The thing is, that game can be pretty dangerous.
It can be.
And then next, they go on the little spinny teacup ride, and SpongeBob gets badly damaged there. And then it turns out Patrick won a bunch of games,
Which then makes
then,
SpongeBob
yeah.
angry and he knocks down Patrick's ice cream.
Oh, I thought
And
it was cotton candy.
Well, he knocks down Patrick's cotton candy. And then Patrick's like, hey, you knocked out my cotton candy.
Oh,
Then
well,
SpongeBob's like,
fine.
well, good. Maybe now you'll know how I feel for you ruining my life.
I was only trying to help.
Help? I think you've helped quite enough today.
And then the townsfolk says, hey, why did you do that? It was because he... Did you not see what happened to him? Basically.
He even explains what happens to him in that scene. So just, how are the townspeople that ignorant?
They just don't care. He did really badly and stuff. Like, he treated Patrick badly, and sure, he's following Mr. Krabs' footsteps, but I'd say Patrick kind of deserves that.
So to see SpongeBob be punished for being in the right, you're evil, Nickelodeon. Not really. That was an exaggeration.
So
Does this...
So then SpongeBob goes home, all depressed and stuff.
And then Patrick does a
cries,
scene where he
where he-
wants to go to SpongeBob's house, but he doesn't. This scene is long and boring.
So then he goes into SpongeBob's house and sees SpongeBob all crazy, and then he cries on SpongeBob.
Which then they both cry together, and
Because
then...
it loosens the forever glue that he stuck on that.
Which, by the way, he grew a beard. Anyway, that makes him cry, and then he shaves his beard off with the ringer.
And this line, I guess crying does solve all your problems after all.
That line is over-exaggerated.
The all, I think, is a little emphasized.
Still, it is way too over-exaggerated.
And then the ringer falls on, so they hug.
But
Ringer
then-
falls on them. And
Because SpongeBob threw it in the air.
then Patrick's like, yay!
No, he says, should I get the glue?
Should I get the glue?
What's-
You already know what happened, Patrick. It's a terrible episode, and I think it deserves the gold medal for worst SpongeBob episode.
Now, before we get to number one, I bet your eyes are being blinded by the amount of white here. But anyway, here are some not honorable mentions that I'm shameful to have to mention. A Pal for Gary. This episode is barely not on the list.
Dumps didn't exist, or it had a little more fair stuff, then this would be on the list.
Exactly. If Dumped was a little less mean toward, or a little less sad, then this would be in its place. However, it just isn't because I hate Dumped a little more. This still is a very bad episode, and SpongeBob is angrily ignorant. They basically were to Gumball the party. I'm probably aware that you guys are surprised. Or, you guys are probably surprised what I meant. But anyway, you guys are probably surprised to see the party here. But to be honest, I found this episode just awkward and tackling a real life situation that I never wanted to see tackled in the amazing world of Gumball.
A dance, a house party, basically.
Being embarrassed to bring your glove with you. And yet, it's supposed to be funny. However, at least it's not mean toward Gumball that much. So I left it off the list. Now it's time for him to talk about the big fairy share scare.
Well then, I bet you're surprised that this isn't number 1. Well then, this episode is the first one of Season 10, which is probably gonna be the last one, and it's not too bad. So, I don't care what you say, this episode in itself isn't that bad, except for, here's some major points. That is a stupid reason Chloe does not have no friends. Clearly everybody in school loves him, and the president, even after she destroyed all the cities, still likes her. And 2, suddenly the wands are only recharged on Fridays. 1, was that a rule? 3, the fact that apparently the center of the earth is the furthest away from Chloe, even though the other side of the world, in the southern hemisphere, like somewhere either in the Indian or Australia. Yes, yes, that is further away than China. It would be the actual as far away from her as possible. And yeah, it's just it's pretty bad, but not nearly as bad as the one that was on this list. And
here it is. You want to know? Also, Timmy is a complete jerk, and even though he could be nice, you don't know what I'm talking about? Well,
number 1.
Fairly Odd Parents, It's a Wishful. Oh my goodness. Look at his face on this title.
Look at that, he's depressed.
Or not really depressed, but just look at
He's
the
sad.
sad look at his eyes.
I'd say it's more in the frown and the confused eyebrow motion, not the eyes. But
The townspeople
this
are jerks.
episode is bad. Bad beginning, bad middle, bad end. Every part of it is bad. So if you don't know the plot of this episode, it's that one episode where the person wishes that they don't exist.
And they
since he
find
has
out that
fairies that
everyone is better without him.
that is really the only thing that you can do in a plot like this. But here's the thing. You gotta make the person deserve it. In
That
episode,
makes it work.
He was doing nice stuff at the beginning, and they weren't respecting that.
And yet he is punished for it because you do not do good deeds for respect. You do them because they're the right thing.
There was no implication that he was doing it for respect. Except maybe, the part where he said, this, like 3 adjectives in a row.
Yeah.
It's like, so he does 3 things. He paints the background,
Which by himself,
and he mows the lawn and makes the lawn look pretty. And he gives AJ a new computer, which obviously he couldn't afford. Okay, so that one I have probably the biggest problem with. The one AJ's thing. Because, 1, he says that the new model came out 4 seconds ago. So, 1, how would Timmy know that? And 2, there's no implication that you have it.
exactly.
And
If you don't have it, just have the next best thing.
Even if you did have it, you're a smart boy. You can salvage the parts in that. And he places it down on the floor and said, at least it can make a good doorstop. Ding! It misses the door, and he's like, it doesn't. That's just because you placed it wrong.
AJ, you're supposed to be smart.
I have a lot of problems with that part. Now I'll leave it to you to describe the middle.
The middle is Timmy finds out that everybody's good without him.
Like shown
Yada,
in this
yada, yada.
previous slide. Look at that.
Look
AJ somehow has hair, and implying. I'm pretty sure they even said that he is that AJ is stressed out by Timmy.
No, they don't.
Really? I thought they did.
Well, they don't.
Okay. Well. Anyway, then Miss Chester is looking happy. If you didn't know, he has Cosmo and Wanda.
And he also doesn't have braces.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that.
Elmer doesn't have a boil. The bully
Like,
is now nice.
Somehow, Timmy, not being there makes Elmer not have a boil. Not sure how that could happen.
And how is Francis not a bully just because Timmy doesn't
I mean,
exist?
he bullies a ton of kids. He bullies Chester and AJ. Like, how is he not a bully because of that?
And
See,
Timmy's mom and dad are happy because they have a daughter. Oh, great. Now they're sexist. I mean the gender kind.
Yeah, I know. And then Mr. Crocker, he's in a nice looking outfit. That's because for some reason he's only crazy about Timmy's fairies.
Apparently.
And Vicky is in a nurse costume, which she would never be allowed to later, but that's implying that Timmy's the only one that Vicky hates.
Even though she babysits a lot of other kids.
And even makes her parents scared of her.
Anyway, back to this. There's also... Actually, no, there's no more. Oh, yeah. Jorgen is so unlikable. Did you like George before this episode? Well, you won't after.
Yeah, so what Jorgen says is, you don't do good deeds to get respect. Like previously stated, there's next to no implications that he's doing that.
Well, he says appreciation, not respect, but I use respect because that's the word we used.
Yeah. You use it because it's the right thing.
He does not have that voice.
I don't care. It's supposed to be my dumb voice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Still,
so
Jorgen is just... Do I want him to be a good character?
But then Timmy
Yes.
is somehow still nice enough to think, everybody is happier without me. Maybe I should just go in. And then Jorgen says that that's the kind of thing he was expecting.
And he passed.
And
Yeah.
and then there was this one section where apparently he forgot to clean the fishbowl or something. So Colin was like, there's a spot here and here and here. Well,
That's probably the only bad thing that he did.
Yeah, that is the only bad thing.
Also, that's very annoying as well. Wouldn't you hate it if you forgot to wash a window and then somebody said, you missed a spot here and here and here and here? Wouldn't you hate that?
Yeah, it's a wishful life. It's terrible. And in the ending, when he's back, Timmy acts like he's going to throw the fishbowl at Cosmo.
But then cleans it, and then
he says,
Wanda...
I'll go clean it right now.
And then Wanda says, oh, looks like Timmy's finally learned a valuable lesson about life. Oh yeah, says the person that said it was awful nice of Timmy to be painting the portrait.
Yeah, this episode just doesn't do it correctly, because he only did one thing that was bad, and there was little implication that Timmy was doing them for appreciation. I remember when I see this episode, I never think that he's doing it for that.
Also, they still air this episode. I saw it. I was watching some Time Warner Cable on my phone. And yet, Nickelodeon was airing this episode, so I had to switch to YouTube.
That's how bad it is. It's terrible, and yes, it 100% deserves the gold medal for the Fairly Odd Parents' worst episode and worst episode of good cartoons.
However, these episodes do not ruin the good cartoons themselves. So keep in mind that we do still like these cartoons. And thank you for watching.
I'm not done yet.
Oh.
So, It's a Wishful Life. We will be doing an after ending to that, like a post ending.
And a slot review, which is something we're going to do.
Yeah. And from SpongeBob, we're gonna do a season reviews sometime, probably this year.
Actually, who knows? I'll probably finish it up and we could even probably do it by the end of September.
Yeah, let's see. We will be doing a slot review on the triangle and pretty much every other thing on this.
And this video is running pretty long.
Yeah, this is a pretty long for a top 6, so until next time!
Goodbye!